Now, we need to develop this draft of our section into a model. Care must always be taken to ensure that whatever is shown in this section is a true representation of how your building should look like. And that means that your knowledge on building construction must be top-notch. You must know what a blinding is, what is the material, what is the size. You must know what a footing is, and so on and so forth, okay? But most important is that once you have finished drafting your section, you just need to, first of all, ensure that this origin starts at the base of your slab, okay? So in my case, I'll move everything to that point, okay? Now, with that in mind, I just need to copy. As I said, it's in our best interest to learn how to draw such sections using the building material fill, okay? When you use a building material fill, it becomes very easy. In my case, that hardcore, you just need to make some quick changes on that hardcore. As you can see, the pens are not compatible with mine, so I need to adjust them. But ideally, all the fields used here are supposed to be building materials, okay? If they're not building materials, well, you lose nothing, but at some point you'll have to change them, okay? So you ensure that all the fields there are building material, okay? So once you have done that, all what you need to do is to copy your fields, copy everything, and then you go to Profile Manager and create a new profile, okay? So in my case, let me use my surname, and it's a strip foundation. I say okay. I'll be given a workspace similar to what I saw in the worksheet. So all what I need to do is to paste it. Now, when pasting, ensure that, again, all your fields, the origin is the lower part of your slab. You lose nothing by counter-checking that all your materials are building materials. So that you don't have a material that at the end of the day, it will come out as no material. It will not be recognized, okay? I believe all of them are correct. Now, what you'll always notice that with the profile manager will give you the extent of your size of your profile. In my case, it's 165 by 2306, okay? So let's just go through our work, sorry, 1653 by 2306. So once you have ascertained everything's okay, it's good you confirm the status of each material. The core material is always a structural material, and then the non-core, you either use finish or other, okay? So in my case, all of this, let me just do one by one so that I'm able to quickly change. That one is a core material. So the bits that all of them are core, so you just need to change the ones that are not core material, like hardcore. I'll place it under other. I'll place this bituminous finish as finish, okay? I can place the ground as other. and so on and so forth. So once you have done that, you are more or less done with your profile. All what you need to do is to save. Now that you have saved it, I will want us to use the drawing of our friend. Just try and place that strip foundation and see whether it makes sense. So the first thing that I want us to do is maybe another thing I might have forgotten, but it's surely done by default. But let's quickly see, is what do you want to use it with, okay? In my case, I'll want to use it with a wall, not with a beam, not with a column, not with a railing, not with a library part. Is that clear? So that's why I said by default, it's normally set. Now, I'll want us to draw that foundation. This is a basement foundation of Njuguna, but we know he has a ground floor. And on the ground floor, we are sure that there's a portion of our building that has a strip foundation. So I'll show a trace so that I'm able to trace it. So as you can see, I can easily trace, okay? What I know is that at this point here, this point going backwards, we don't have a basement because this was an addition, okay? So I can comfortably say from this point going backwards, this wall here is a strip foundation. So I'll want to place that strip foundation. So how will I put it? I'll come and use the wall tool, and I'll use the profile option, and I'll select the relevant profile. In my case, that is the profile. Remember that the origin was placed at the lower part of my slab, okay? So that is very critical. Let's look at it. We look at these other details later. Wall at this level, you might want to separate the foundation from the normal walls. So if I say okay, let's see what we'll get. I want to quickly draft it. So we have various drafting techniques. You have the single, you have the change, you have the rectangular, you have the rotated rectangular. In my case, I want to use change. So if I place a change, you will see that within a very short time, I've been able to place my strip foundation. I'll want to confirm the positions just to ensure that it's in order. So I do that using the section tool. So with the section tool, if I cut through, what do we see? We see a strip foundation that is similar to what you have just drafted, okay? Let's just use core only. If we put core only, you can see there are things that were not part of the core. Something like the hard core, something like the earth not being shown, okay? But if I say full, it will show me everything. Is that clear? Now, the most critical thing is to align your model with your story settings, okay? In our case, I believe that's where the ground floor is supposed to be. And in our case, it's more or less in the right position, okay? So basically with that, we have already placed our strip foundation. Let us just quickly do a model around the same area. If you look at our model, it will be a replica. If you look at it, You'll have the masonry stone. Now this where if you have not done it properly, like in our case, Njuguna has not done it properly, garbage in, garbage out, right together. So here we are supposed to have seen masonry stones properly laid, Njuguna. Our hardcore, we can see it, we can see our earth. We have our strip and our blinding. The mistake in codes that we did is that we did not create concrete for 124. We did not create concrete for 148, just to show the difference, okay? But in a nutshell, whatever you have in your section will be replicated here without fail, okay? And this replication is both in plan, in section, in whatever format. So I don't need to sit down and start drafting these things again. Are you communicating? Any question up to that point? Any question? So that's the process of using the profile manager. And you'll find that a lot of profiles in your building will be done using a profile manager. Right from the strip foundation to your walls, to your columns, to your beams. As long as you understand the profile, you design the profile, and then you just extrude it. I want to use the same section to show our composites. So let's go to our section. Because I want to use that composite now to place the slab around this area. So they are very similar. So the composite basically helps you get a unidirectional, unlike a profile where you can do in two directions and then extrude in the third. The composite just gives you one direction so that you can extrude in either side. Are you communicating? And a good place to use something like this is the slab. Let us look at how we'll achieve it. We just need to understand what we have here. Sorry, I'm noticing that that slab is slightly below. Oh, no, we had some blinding here. This blinding, you have to use different materials so that we stop having the confusion. But I will want to quickly dimension this section so that we see what we have where, okay? So if I dimension this section, place up there first, and then I will put the last one. Now, you have noticed that I'm struggling to get the corner, okay? So how do you ensure that that corner is intelligent? You ensure that that corner is intelligent by, when placing your profile, you add a hotspot. So in my case, if I add a hotspot there, at that corner, you've seen I've added a hotspot, and I say save. Going forward, if I look for that corner, very easy to get it. Is that clear? So hotspots in a profile helps in resolving those issues. And right now I can easily dimension. Let me take it back to a maybe scale 1 to 10. What are the dimensions that I'm getting? I'm getting 150 for my slab, though remember that slab has no finish. Always remember to put your finish. I'm getting a 25 for blinding. It is definitely wrong. Our blinding should be at least 50. I'm getting a 293 for the hardcore. Again, is definitely wrong. It's always good to use a round figure, maybe 300, and then the earth maybe 150. However, now that this is what has been used to model my profile, I can just follow it. The moment I try to deviate from it, it will not give me a replica of that, and they need to be seamless. You lose nothing if you try and look at the dimensions at a finer decimal place, just to be sure that whatever you have, so as you can see, this was 154, but if you just look at it clearly, it's 153.853. Now for the profile, you must have that level of accuracy. You must know the depth and you must know the material. In our case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 materials. The first material has a depth of 150. What's the name of that material? Anyway, let me write all of them so that so the third one of interest is 292.854. And then we have 153.857. So my friends, when drafting, minimize these errors, okay? Because when you accumulate those errors, at times, reach a point you will not be able to control them. So use what you know as standard, okay? For hardcore, standard is 300. If 300 fails, let's use round figures, okay? If it's our blinding, it's 50. So let's be very accurate. Is that clear? Nevertheless, I've gotten the dimensions. It's easier to get the material from the profile. So if I open the profile and look at the materials, what's the name of the first material? It's Njuguna concrete. I'll lose nothing by looking at the pen weight that was used. In this case, I'm seeing a 0.1, which again is a bit thinner for concrete. But looking at the pens have issues. Anyway, let me just leave it that way for now. And then we have the second material, it's 25, but it's still Njuguna concrete. So in your case, you have to differentiate the two. And then the third, which is hardcore, is hardcore. And then the fourth one is the earth, it's Njuguna ground. So as you can see, I have the depths, I have the materials. Now I want to use the composite tool to create that profile so that I can use it to do my slabs. So if I go to composites and say new, then I will call it Oyuga ground floor slab. I'll not duplicate, let me just do new, okay? Now, let's look at this a bit. We normally have the skins and the separators, okay? The skins will always represent the material. Is that clear? The separator will always represent the pen weight of the associated material, okay? In my case, this skin, I want it to be the topmost skin, which is Njuguna concrete. The bit is that it's the same material that I wanted by default. Now the thickness, our thickness was 150. So I need to adjust that one to 150. And at this level, I need to know whether it's core or finish or other, okay? In my case, it's core. And then if I say insert skin, what happens that the skin that you have just created above is cloned, okay? So once it has been cloned, now it's your responsibility now to edit it accordingly, okay? Remember that after the slab, we had the same material, but for it will be different, but blinding of 25, okay? And then if we insert another skin, this is where we had hardcore, and our hardcore was called hardcore. So we need to look for it. It's there, it's called hardcore, and it had a thickness of 292.854. It's very important that that thickness matches what you have in our profile. That's why it's good to work with actual wood dimensions, okay? And then after that, we have the ground. So I'll insert skin again. And on this one, I'm going to use Njuguna round. And for this one, it was 153.857, okay? So by and large, we have finished that part of our slab, okay? The pen weights are things that we'll revisit later, but for now, we have a slab, okay? Let's give it a name. I'll give it my name. I'll call it ground floor slab. If I say okay, now down here, this shows the elements that you can use it with. In my case, I just want to use it with the shell. No, the shell, sorry, the slab. Now up here shows you a preview. Though it's a bit distorted, especially for the material, shows the preview of both the material and the finishing section, okay? So if you look at it and you see everything's okay, just say okay. Now in our case, I will now want to place a slab. Remember that we had done a strip that included a slab. Now I want to use a slab tool. For the slab tool, I'll use a composite, and I'll use what I've just created, and I will not override anything, okay? So if I say okay, I just want to first of all place it here. And let us see it in section. How is it behaving? Now, if you look at it in section, there's extreme similarity between the two. The only thing that I need to do is to move this one to its correct position. I want you to notice that as long as the materials are the same and it's seamless, ideally there should not be any line separating them. Is that clear? And that will happen both in section and in 3D. Let's look at it in 3D. As you can see, there's so seamless a relationship between the two. Allow me to even change something here. Something getting a bit lost on the edges. Let me just cut a section through. As you can see, it is so seamless. You'll not know what hardcore belongs to the strip foundation and what hardcore belongs to the composite. Is that clear? All this boils down to you understanding your building properly. The moment you don't understand it, it becomes very difficult for you to create something as seamless as this. Is that clear? So with that, I will ask any question. Now, once you have done all these things, and remember all the way you have been developing content, and I think you noticed you are having challenges accessing the content, okay? You resolve that challenge by making use of the Viewmap. The Viewmap is a dedicated part of ArchiCAD that helps you to organize your work in terms of folders, in terms of stages, in terms of viewsets, okay? So even within one sheet, worksheet, even within one floor, even within one 3D document, you can do so much. You just need to manipulate a number of things. And once you've manipulated them, you just need to save it as a view set. And anytime you'll be able to see it, okay? So how do we save view sets? I want us to go through this quickly, step by step. So let's be together so that we don't have a problem with this going forward. So the view set is normally gotten in the view map. And in our case, our view map is empty, okay? So what you need to do is that you need to have a rationale of organizing your work, okay? In our case, we'll organize it with stages, the tasks that we have within our BM2A, okay? In an office, we'll have the workflow stages, okay? Which start from concept to drafting, to modeling, documentation, which is further subdivided to scheme, to working, to detail, construction details, revisions, and so on and so forth. Is that clear? So in our case, let's just limit it to our tasks in Studio, okay? So let's say one of the first tasks was to draft the library. So we'll come and create a new folder, call it 01, then Oyuga library scheme drafting. Okay. Of interest to me right now is that I've already done a model and I want to see that model, okay? So before I even go back and save my scheme drafts, because I'll lose what I have in the model, if I open the 3D again, I will want to save this, okay? So I'll create a folder for it. So I'll call it Oyuga modeling. Maybe it's 2. And within it, I'm going to save this view. Maybe now I can properly set it up as an isometric with the correct angles and all those things. Maybe this one I want as 270. So if I say okay, it's a perfect isometric. So I'll come and save and say isometric view 1, Yuga, isometric view 01. Okay. You always ensure that these settings are okay. Okay. And then of importance is that you finish by saying create. Is it clear up to that point? Now, whatever I'm doing, maybe I'll want to correlate it with my plan. So at any time I want to look at that model, I might want to visit my plan, okay? So at that point, I'll also save. Maybe I'll call it Oyuga plan. Right now, the names might not make sense, but along the way, you'll find that you have to give them relevant names. Is that clear? Maybe Oyuga ground floor plan. Maybe Oyuga ground floor isometric view. Because you'll have hundreds of isometric views, you need, once you see the list, you know what you're looking for. Is that clear? So I've seen Oyuga there, I've put a double, so let me edit. So let me just go back now to my worksheets and just extract like the rough foundation. Now the basement layout. Now this basement layout, as we had gone through it, it had a number of issues. One, the scale is not matching the pen weight. So if we adjust the pen weight, and then we realize that again, it's too heavy. Nevertheless, if you have corrected and made sure that everything is okay, and I want to save this, I will save it under scheme. Okay, so I'll come and save as. In this case, because most probably the worksheet is similar to the name of what I'm looking for, I will say create. And so on and so forth, okay? So as you can see right now, I'm in the worksheet, but if I want to go to my 3D, I don't need to go and look for the other settings. I just need to come and double click here and it will take me to my 3D. If I want the plan associated to the 3D, if I click there, I will get it. If I want my library basement layout, I will get it. Are you communicating? So I want us to go through the process of saving all the deliverables that we have on the Viewmap. Start with the drafted work, proceed on and give us the details of the various building elements as line work in worksheets, saved in the Viewmap, and then create the models, generate the 3Ds, open the isometrics, and save for us the isometrics and the plans associated with that isometric also in a Viewmap. Is that clear? But as you can see, drafting and modeling are correlated. If you don't know how to draft, you'll have struggles with your model. If you don't know how to achieve certain pen weights in drafting, in modeling, you'll have a problem. Any question at that point?